Well, it's a rare event these days, an economic growth forecast that's upgraded, but the International Monetary Fund has done just that for its global outlook. It says world growth is improving, but the positive development comes with a heavy dose of concern. Here's Philip Lasker.
This is the IMF's description of the world economy over the past 6 months, a time of tough action by governments and money printing by the European Central Bank.
Things have quieted down since, but an uneasy calm remains. One has the feeling that at any moment things could well get very bad again. So this very much shapes our forecasts.
World growth has been upgraded from 3.3 to 3.5%. There's been an upgrade for the US as well, from 1.8 to over 2%. The Eurozone is set for a mild recession with negative growth, while China's forecast is unchanged.
If you look at Europe, it's in recession, but the recession isn't as bad as was feared in the second half of last year, so that's an improvement. And if you look at China, the Chinese economy is slowing, but it's not slowing in a way that would suggest unequivocally that we're headed for a hard landing in China.
And the recovery in the US is seen as gaining traction, although the IMF sees risks everywhere.
Some very large fiscal adjustments are required in the US. Come the new president at the end of this year, there's going to have to be some very tough decisions made on fiscal policy next year, and that's really going to take some of the strength out of the US economy.
We've also got the situation in Spain where the economy is in a very deep recession, they're missing fiscal targets, and the markets are very skittish about how that situation is evolving.
The IMF called on Eurozone leaders to take further steps towards fiscal union, which could lessen country risk, such as issuing common sovereign bonds. But Europe faces the difficult task of balancing the twin goals of fostering growth while tightening government budgets, a task made much more difficult for debt-laden Eurozone members who would benefit from a weaker currency.
For the moment, there is no plan B. We basically are doing whatever we can to help countries succeed within the constraints of the euro.
These countries are going to have to get out of the common currency straitjacket, and I think that's what we'll see this year, is some fairly major political and economic disruptions and a rethink on what the structure of the euro needs to be.
And the IMF welcomed a loosening in China's currency straitjacket, allowing the renminbi to fluctuate within a wider band, addressing one key challenge,
which is to rebalance the internal economy from one that is driven very much by investment in exports to one that is driven by consumption.
Treasurer Wayne Swan heads to Washington for a series of meetings with the IMF, World Bank and G20 finance ministers, where the critics will be few and far between.